this isn't really a quibble, but I will say 8-year-old me was not prepared for that Krypton, because this is different than anything that's ever been in the comics up to that point. Up to that point, Krypton was almost always shown as very Flash Gordon-y 1930s sci-fi with rocket ships and Jor-El walking around with his badass Mike Reno headband. Basically always singing "Everybody's Working for the Weekend." As an 8-year-old who was already very into Superman, I was like going, what is this? Very trippy, but at the same time, very fitting with 70s sci-fi. And the take on Krypton is as being, they kept the general point even of the original stuff, which was it's hubris. Krypton's hubris. Jor-El is the only truth speaker saying, please listen to me.
My friends, you know me to be neither rash nor impulsive.
And everyone else is so comfortable in their genius and their advanced society. They're like going, Jor-El, shut up. We're fine.
Yeah.
Krypton's fine.
Jor-El, be reasonable.
I think this is what inspired John Byrne's take, because Byrne in the comics took it even farther when he did his reboot, making it even more cold and emotionally cold. But here, they've turned Krypton totally white. And it's crystalline. And you're like, huh? And they walk around and they all have family sigils, which they don't call attention to, which is kind of smart. But you're like, why is Marlon Brando wearing a Superman S? What is that? And then it's like they are subtly saying it was never meant to be an S. That's Kryptonian. That's the House of El symbol.
Yeah.
I was a little worried because one of the women in the science council, the one that he talks to for the longest, and she's like, it's settling on it. It's changing its axis or whatever it is. She doesn't have a sigil. And I was like, oh, let them not be sexist. She does.
Yeah.
But I did see in the background, there's another woman who doesn't have any dialogue, but it's clearly a woman and she has a sigil. So I don't know why. Maybe her sigil suit was at home.
Yeah, because Lara didn't wear it either. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, these aren't nitpicks, but even my 8-year-old brain was picking that out and going, oh, this is strange.
Yeah.
And Marlon Brando's wig is, it's a little goofy that he has a spit curl, and apparently that's genetic. But he delivers. The thing that I do love, it was smart of Donner, the whole verisimilitude thing, because no one plays this at camp. Everyone is playing this totally real.
Mm-hmm.
Also, what did Ursa do? The thing is, I'm just worried about whatever Ursa did, because it's always like for her perversions that
even the children of Krypton,
even that endangered even the children. Because I'm like, I really want to know the Ursa story. It sounds creepy, but I mean, that's not a quibble. But again, it is, as a kid, I was like, I don't know if this feels right, but it does feel alien, which is important. Like the Phantom Zone, if they had kept it like the comics and it's just a lamp, Phantom Zone projector, and it beams them into the Phantom Zone, that would have worked. But this whole thing of a huge dome opening and a dimensional record album floating around and then them being beamed into it, you're like, what the f*** is that? As a kid, I'm going, I got it was a Phantom Zone, but I was like, I have no idea what I'm looking at. But I always love hearing even Zod going, please forgive me. Immediately, like, this was a big mistake. Big mistake.
I guess the point is that that's how horrifying being in the Phantom Zone is.
Yeah. But I mean, as far as the drama of that section, it may not be what visually I ever imagined Krypton to be, but dramatically it hits all. I mean, and the ship, the weird star-shaped ship, I'm just like, what? Again, everything was hitting me at the time watching it as a kid, and still to this day I go, well, that's a take. It's like, yeah, not what I imagined.
Yeah.
But I'm used to it, and I still love it. So again, I don't have major quibbles of Krypton other than I was stunned and startled and like, I have no idea what I'm looking at.
It always struck me that Marlon Brando's performance was a bit like the way that he picks up Kal-El, it almost like he's like, I have to kiss the baby. Okay. But watching it again, I was like, well, okay, he's not as blasé as I remember it.
I don't think he's blasé, but he is called upon. He knows that what he's trying to do is present the myth. And this part is all about it's all very stately. But the moments where he chooses to show emotion, which is muted because Jor-El is very stoic, but it comes across. He was such a good actor, and he was delivering those lines so well, considering the fact he had not learned them and was reading them off a piece of paper that was sitting inside that ship. Literally, the looking down, but he's so seamless about it, you can't tell. And he still has these very thoughtful places where he stops. And I'm like,
just a little bit of a crack in his voice towards the end of his.
The son becomes the father, father the son.
I mean, turns out Marlon Brando could act.
Yeah.
And I think, what's her name? Susanna
York?
Yes, Susanna York. I think she does a great job.
He'll be odd. Different.
And I do think there's some great choices, like in making Krypton stark white. And then, baby Kal-El is wrapped in brilliant blue, yellow, and red. And it's like, okay, that's good art direction. That's pretty good.
Is there anything else about Krypton?
I mean, I love the Science Council. I love their projected faces and guilty.
I wonder if Robot Chicken has done. They must have, because they've parodied pretty much everything under the sun at this point. But it'd be so fun to make fun of that scene with like a Zoom call going wrong, where somebody gets guilty, and the third guy's face is frozen. They're sitting there impatiently waiting.
Did he go guilty? I was talking. I didn't hear. Did he say guilty? Because he's frozen now. We really need to get rid of Zod. Was that a guilty or not a guilty?
He just leans forward and goes, you're
muted.
No, you're muted. Everybody's getting impatient.